Yo, what is up, guys? It's Pedro here. So the Washington Commanders just got some really bad injury news regarding Will Harris. We're going to talk about it in today's video. If you guys are new, please subscribe. We're 40 subscribers away from 16,000. So the Commanders got the win. They're 2-1. Really good news there. The other bad news is that the Eagles did end up winning their game. They were down by a lot, ended up winning. So they're 3-0 right now. The Commanders are 2-1. Second place in the division. Giants play tonight against the Kansas City Chiefs, probably going on when this video is posted or right about when it's posted. But let's talk about this injury. So, Will Harris, who, has been up and down, but he's made plays. He had a nice play here that, Ian Rappaport had on the tweet, might use that as a thumbnail, where he broke up a pass kind of to Brock Bowers. He suffered a fractured fibula in today's win against the Raiders. He's having more tests to determine the full extent of the injury, but Harris is out for the foreseeable future. And when I hear fractured fibula, to me that seems like something that is a season-ending injury. He said foreseeable future. I don't remember exactly when he got hurt. So some people are saying he was walking off the field, which seems crazy, but even if he was, it seems like this is an injury that is going to require, most likely, him to miss the rest of the season. That's just my take on the situation. It's hard to speculate, but with an injury like a fractured fibula, it just doesn't seem like someone's coming back from that, in 4, 6, 8 weeks. It's something that is going to take a long time. Maybe if it's a deep playoff run, he'll be able to come back, but they got to find a replacement because, they have guys that, maybe can step up a little bit, but for the most part, they don't have a lot of guys. I like Jeremy Reeves. He's going to have a lot more, he's going to get a lot more playing time. So it's him and Tyler Owens at the moment, but they might need to bring in some replacements, or at least a replacement for Will Harris and some other injuries that happened in this game. We're going to go over a guy that I think the Commanders should sign. I'm sure a lot of you guys know who that is. But Will Harris was out today. They said ankle, but ended up being the fibula. Percy Butler, that doesn't really matter, but I guess it does matter in the sense that Will Harris got hurt and Percy Butler is another safety on the depth chart. So who knows what's out, what happens with that. But usually a hip injury, I don't know. Usually it's not like, he, barely hit it. It might be something that it takes a little bit of time to heal. Terry McLaurin quad injury. Don't know what's the deal with that. I'm sure we'll get an update tomorrow and obviously during the week. But it seemed like something maybe he could have played through if it was a big game. But, tweaked it a little bit. And, probably because it was a blowout, they're like, all right, you're straight to, just miss the rest of the game. Because, the reason why I think he's okay is because after the play, he didn't come up hobbling. Even, after on the sideline, he was still, it wasn't even like they were attending to his injury. He was like complaining about it not being a touchdown. He thought it was a touchdown. So for me, and also the fact that he was on the sideline chilling with Jaden, it seems like that's fine. Marshawn Lattimore concussion, possible concussion. I don't know if they confirmed it during the game. If it's a concussion, who knows, might be back next week. If it's not a concussion, obviously he's good to go. Trey Amos with the calf injury. Hopefully that's all good. And yeah, that would be a big loss. Both of them are losses, Lattimore and Trey Amos, but definitely want to have your young guy out there. And then Dan Quinn with the nose injury, and hit his head pretty hard, the back of his head. I know he had stitches after the game. So the injury report, it's bad, guys. It's really bad. Last year, the Commanders were very fortunate that they had no major injuries besides like John Allen, who actually came back. Well, this year, it's a lot. You got Eckler, Dietrich Wise, now Will Harris, and John Bates and Noah Brown are both, we're out for this game, might be out for longer. It's not good, guys. It really isn't. And then you add Will Harris, Butler, McLaurin, Lattimore, Amos to the injury report. Hopefully most of those guys are good, but we already know Will Harris isn't going to be good. And then Terry's the one I'm most confident in. I don't know about Lattimore and Amos. At least Lattimore won't be long-term. But real quick, a word from today's sponsor. And a huge shout out to Sleeper for sponsoring today's video. Make sure you guys check them out if you guys want to play fantasy sports, if you want to get, the latest sports news, and then also if you want to win some real money, I mean, you can make your weekly picks for the Commanders. First 2 weeks, hit them. This week was not so fortunate, but still, can make some plays for tonight. So make sure you guys check out Sleeper. Link in the description. Use code Pedro on Sleeper and get a 100% match up to $100. Terms and conditions apply. All right, and again, a huge shout out to Sleeper for sponsoring today's video. So let's get back into the injuries and some guys that they, should sign. And like I said, the injury that's most concerning obviously is Will Harris, the one that they reported on. Terry, not too concerned about. Marshawn Lattimore, not concerned about, just because at most, he is a little bit older, and I don't know his concussion history, but I'm assuming he doesn't have a lot. He's out for the Falcons game at the maximum, and then Amos, we have no idea. And Percy Butler, it's not a big deal. The biggest injury also, or one of the bigger ones, is John Bates. Having him back would be huge. But the run game was really good today. All right, let's talk about a guy I want the Commanders to sign, and that is Justin Simmons. And a lot of Commanders fans tweeted about it, and I think it makes sense. Justin Simmons is a veteran. I was about to say receiver, veteran safety. Played a while in the league. Made All-Pro at least once, multiple-time Pro Bowl type player, big interception guy. We can go ahead, look at his stats. I know this site's gonna have a bunch of ads, but I want to go and see his Pro Bowl. So let's see, he's made the All-Pro second team 4 times, and then he's a 2-time Pro Bowler. Played last year with the Falcons, had 2 interceptions, 6 interceptions in 2022. I mean, you look at this, 2018 to 2022, the amount of interceptions he had. I mean, he had 3 straight seasons with 5 or more interceptions, and even the year before that, and the year before that, 7 combined interceptions, and that's really impressive. Even last year, still had a couple interceptions. We have had 3 games, 0 turnovers forced by this Commanders defense. He is also from the Virginia area. Manassas, Virginia is a little bit old, gonna add to the unction, and I know people are gonna be mad about that the Commanders are gonna keep getting older, but at this point there's not if we're looking at studs available, first off, not a lot of studs available in September unless you want to trade for them, and even then there's not a lot. And then second of all, when there is a stud, it's not going to be a young guy, because the young guy is going to be he's either going to be a free agent at most, or most teams are just going to lock him up and give him an extension earlier, pay him whenever. So the guys that are going to be available are older guys, and not a lot of studs available. And really the only one, or one of the only ones, is Justin Simmons, who has a lot of good football behind him, and hopefully, if he signs with Commanders, a good season this year. No reporting on a Justin Simmons signing or interest or anything. It just makes sense with the Will Harris injury, and it's just something that they might have to do. Justin Simmons can play free safety, but that's what he played. He played some strong safety, so they could move him to strong safety, because who knows? Depends on what they want to do here, but they definitely have options. And it really sucks with Will Harris. Even though he was up and down, still made some plays over the first 3 games, so it does suck, but the Commanders will be able to make it work, and hopefully Justin Simmons is part of that solution. He was playing free safety for us, but he can play a lot of different things, so they can switch it all around with Quan Martin and Justin Simmons. They'll make it work, whatever is better for each of those guys. They'll definitely be able to make it work. And I think Justin Simmons is not going to cost a lot of money. He's waiting on a good opportunity with a team that needs safety, and a team that can be a Super Bowl contender. So hopefully he sees that in the Washington Commanders, and they're able to get this done. But that's it for today's video. Just want to give you guys that news. I know it's not good news, but it is what it is. Thanks for watching. Hope you guys enjoyed. Peace.